Welcome to Cosmic Conversations, the podcast where spirituality meets real life. I'm Siobhan, your host, aka the Cosmic Coach, and this is a space where we are going to explore the layers of what make us truly who we are. There's going to be a series of solo episodes along with some incredible guests, a space where we can truly discuss the universe within us all. Oshika, welcome to Cosmic Conversations. It is an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you on here today. Before we get into it, I would love for you to introduce yourself to anyone listening, because I know this is going to be an incredibly special episode and those listening are feeling drawn to this for a reason. So yeah, if you tell people who you are and a little bit about what you do.
Thank you so much, Siobhan, for gracing me with this opportunity on being on your podcast. I am Oshika. I'm a multidimensional human being and walking on this path of this life. I am a mother of a 2-year-old. I'm a conscious conception mentor. I help women detox their physical bodies, align their mental and spiritual bodies for divine and conscious pregnancy and motherhood. Along with that, I am a breathwork instructor. I hold spaces for women, and I love everything about us as these women creatures that we are. So anything and everything related to a woman's pain, trauma, and this cycle of motherhood is something very, very deeply dear to me and my heart. Yeah, that's who I am.
I love That's beautiful. I love that you said multi-dimensional being, because you are. We all are multi-dimensional
Yes.
beings.
Yes.
Um, yes, that's powerful. A beautiful introduction. I know we've had a chat before and we've got to get to know each other. But I'd love for you to maybe tell us, like, how did you get into this work? What was your story that kind of led you into this purpose?
Uh, the stories are always already written way before we come to this timeline, to this physical reality. So I chose, the soul chose this path where I had a very, very difficult childhood, lots of abuse of all sorts. I had an alcoholic father. I have seen everything. When I was 16, I tried committing suicide, and but I was always very, very spiritual. I always was drawn towards energy, or trying to ask myself that where do I come from, or where is home, where what does this heart seek. um when I was 25, I met my husband, and my husband is this amazing gem of a person that I've been with since past 10 years. But when I met my husband, suddenly life became very rosy, and that's when I realized that I am becoming like my father. I got addicted to alcohol. I was in major deep turbulence of depression and anxiety. So my life looked amazing. I was traveling all over the world. I had this amazing job, amazing husband and partner. But when life becomes easier, that's when the demons of the past kind of pop up and say, hey, I am still in your body. This is not over. So you need to clean me up. So that led me to my path when I realized that, okay, my shit is shitting itself all over now. Um, and yeah, that started this healing journey. I had obviously all of our trauma, and especially as a woman, a lot of our trauma and pain sits in our womb. So I had PCOD, I had UTI, I had cysts, and then I had fibroids as well. So it is all since a decade, Shibon, that I've been walking on this path of healing myself. Then I was able to heal my body, heal everything holistically and naturally. That made me understand the power of this sacred temple that we carry. And yeah, after loads of certification, going back to ancient Indian Vedic practices, I am here. In 2022, I had this major spiritual acceleration. But as I said, that I was always, always spiritual. And not just me, we are all spiritual beings. It's just about when do you come to that realization that, okay, I'm not this body, I'm this spirit. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Um, So yeah, since 2022, I accidentally consciously conceived my daughter, because I was like on this detox journey, and I was doing everything metaphysical, like meditating for 3 hours a day, and to a point that I left normal life and I lived this isolated life connected to the spirit of who I am and the spirit of my baby. And I feel that's it was my baby, and it is our babies who help us understand who we are, and they nudge us on this path of healing so that our wombs are ready to hold divine beings and more conscious and more beautiful beings on this planet.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's what my story is. Yeah.
That's it. That's incredibly beautiful. And I, even as you mentioned, your upbringing and you always had that sense of spirituality. And I imagine that was like something that was almost like a base for you to turn back to during those hard times and going through trauma during your childhood. And even you mentioned, all throughout your life, it's something that has expanded and grown. Um, I'm curious though, you're mentioning about like, when you intentionally slash accidentally conceived your baby and you're connecting to your spirit and her spirit. And I wonder, do you believe that like our children, like our spirit babies, are like around us and they're just waiting for us to conceive them? Because I have this belief that they're like waiting and they're like, I'm waiting until you're ready, mom.
I don't need to answer that, because I think you know it in your being, Shibon, right? That's
Yeah.
the truth, because
Hmm.
we are these souls, and our souls are so magnanimous and so expansive that our soul just doesn't live in our body.
Hmm.
It's so of such high vibration that it cannot be just in this physical body. So half of us, or I don't know how much, but we are tuned in and connected to the source or to the divine. And
Yeah.
as I said in the beginning, that we choose our stories. So yes, our children have
Hmm.
chosen their story already, and they are waiting for the point when you are ready, not just ready spiritually or whatever, but whatever point of arrival will let their purpose fulfilled. What I mean by
Hmm.
that is that my mother conceived me when she was 19 years old. So she was a baby, right?
Yeah. Wow.
So for us, we would be like, oh, she wasn't ready. No, she was ready. She was ready for my path. I had to
Yes.
come in then to experience
Hmm.
what I experienced to fulfill my purpose that I'm fulfilling now. So this whole thing
Hmm.
of ready, I don't know, it's very tricky to answer, but yes,
Yeah.
for sure, Earth's consciousness is changing in Vedic text. It says that we are in Kali Yuga, where there will a time will arrive when slowly and steadily we are just doing the groundwork. More new spiritual beings will come and uplift the consciousness of this planet. You and me,
Hmm.
we are just doing the homework so that our womb is prepared and ready to hold such
Yes.
frequency. Right.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Um, you mentioned like the Ayurvedic. I hope I'm saying it properly. The Ayurvedic yoga and the practices. Is that connected to religion or is that a spiritual practice? What exactly is that?
Sure. Ayurveda, yoga, tantra, it is all spiritual science. Only
Okay.
now modern science is going back and saying, oh, Chinese medicine was right. Oh, Ayurveda was right. Oh, now
Hmm.
everybody is doing box breathing. It all comes from ancient texts and wisdom, right? Um, Everything, anything and everything. So this whole thing, oh, circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm has been written in Ayurveda like almost ages, 5,000, 10,000 years ago. I am not going to quote the years because it is actually really really ancient. um, so it's kind of modern science is just reshuffling the old stuff, and we are living in this neo spiritual
These
age.
people knew this already. Our ancestors knew
Yes,
it
yes.
all.
Our ancestors used to live by the rhythm of the sun, the rhythm of the nature, because that is actually reflected in our body, in our being, and in our lives as well, right? There's a
Mhm.
phase of life when the spring will come, and then you will flourish in the summer, and then you will cocoon back in. And
Mhm.
that's what happens with the rhythm of a woman's body every
Mhm.
month. So a
Yeah.
woman lives according to the cycles of the moon and the cycles of the nature. So our ancestors knew everything. But
Mhm.
yeah, to go back to your question, religion is, I would say, kind of new. Um, and all of this Vedic wisdom doesn't talk about religion.
Mhm.
I'm a born Hindu. Uh, and yes, I am blessed by practices that helps me strengthen my own spiritual understanding, my own spiritual path. But we are living in a world where we are being divided in the name of religion. And it is sad to see that it happens in my own country. But having said that, all of this wisdom is deeply rooted into spiritual science and the science of nature and the body. So it's, as I said, that it's spiritual science rather than anything religious to it. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I suppose it makes sense that it dates back much further than religion. And this is going way back. And
Yeah.
I'm curious, so the women that come to you then, could you tell us about the type of women that come to you and the type of help that they would need?
Yes, 100%. So slowly the kind of women who are coming to me is changing also. But someone who has had a miscarriage or is dealing with unexplained infertility, has PCOD, UTI, endometriosis, are the kind of clients that come to my door, and I am blessed to work with them. But lately I'm getting people who know that their babies are waiting, and they know that they want to do some kind of deeper work before they get pregnant. So it is all very
Beautiful.
interesting that there is this awareness, because your child is communicating to you, right? I'm sure you have a lot to add to it, and I would love to hear
Mhm.
your story. But so yeah, if anybody who's dealing with unexplained infertility has some kind of hormonal physical issue and they are unable to get pregnant naturally, that is my core client. And the ones who have this faith and believe that yes, their child is waiting for them to get ready. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that, especially with people coming and knowing that their baby's waiting.
Yeah.
I could definitely relate to that. And
Yeah.
I'm curious, like with when the client comes, so would you get them to get like blood work? I imagine they'd be bringing like some medical history, or are you tuning into the energy? Is this more of an inner wisdom thing where you're tuning in to perhaps herbs that they need and holistic treatments if it's connecting with their womb? Like what type of practices would you be prescribing for your clients?
Sure. So it's funny that we all come from different parts of the world and have different genes, but it is kind of one approach fits all, and it does work magically. My
Mm-hmm.
practices are rooted, as I said, in Ayurveda. So firstly, detoxing your physical body, because we are all surrounded by hormone disruptors. We don't even know that the things that we use on a regular basis are actually disrupting our hormones, and a lot of times um, just resetting your hormone and bringing balance in your body allows your womb to flourish with that juicy hormones that is needed for fertility. So first we work on the physical body. Along the side, we work on the inner child aspect of it as well, because a lot of times it is fear of motherhood that we think that we don't carry, but it is there in us because something happened to us. Or sometimes say people have different kind of memories of things that they have seen about pregnancy, or some horrific movie they saw that how the woman was giving birth. So all of
Yeah.
subconscious work is involved in healing your mind. Modern woman lives in so much of stress, so there's stress of getting pregnant. But the moment you get into the stress cycle, you are telling your body that you are not ready to get pregnant.
Yeah.
So it's all a 360 approach where we deal with your physical body, your
Mm-hmm.
environment, your energetic body, meaning how much work you need to do before you call in the child, how much trauma you are carrying from your childhood, and ensuring that your mental body is fit enough on a day to day basis with the trust in universe, and bringing the couple and partner together to mate and make love for divine union. It has become like a churning cycle now that, okay, I'm ovulating, let's have sex. But it doesn't work like that.
I'm nodding my head because it's like everything you're saying, like even talking about our spirit babies and to preparing for pregnancy to even trying to make a baby. It's funny, there's children actually playing out on the road in front of me as we're recording. It's like a little sign. Um, but I suppose I spoke about my own experience on the podcast, and my I have my son who's nearly 3, and it was funny when we conceived him. I do feel it was a conscious conception, but it was also like there was no pressure there. I was like, if it happens, it happens. And so, we had my son and it was great. And then of course we were trying again earlier this year, and we like that. It was like it got to a point where it almost took the I don't want to say it took the romance out of it, but it was like, oh, we have to do it now. Like I'm ovulating, and so we were doing it. And for so many months I was getting negative tests, negative tests, negative tests. And I was like, oh my God, like what's going on? Am I gonna have to get help? And thankfully, we were lucky enough to conceive. I felt pregnant, and we were delighted. We were so thrilled. And then of course I miscarried in April. And that was a whole process in itself of grieving, and my body took a long time to definitely recover from that. Um, but now, as I'm recording, I'm pregnant again, and of course I'm very early stages. So by the time this podcast comes out, I will have announced it. Um, but it's so interesting to me because this time when I got pregnant, it was like it wasn't like we were like, let's do it now. It just we let go of everything. We were like, it'll happen when it's ready. And I wonder, like, is it like, do you think it's because I put that stress on myself that I was getting the negatives, and then when it happened, maybe it wasn't the right time, and that spirit had to go back. And I have a lot of peace with that. That was the time we were meant to spend together, like that short amount of time. And maybe this is the same spirit that's come back to me. But yeah, it's just interesting to hear you say that. But now this time around, I really just took everything away, and I was like, no, there's no pressure. It's gonna happen when the time is right.
Who am I? I don't know anything. So how do I know? I don't know what happened, to be very, very honest. I do not want to answer such a major question, but my understanding or my awareness is that coming to your womb space and being energetically there for some time, maybe that was the purpose of that spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to come to the realization and letting it go and being just open, that was your purpose.
Yeah, it's so true.
It's
Yeah.
difficult for sure for the woman to accept, understand, grieve. And
Mm-hmm.
I am happy that you're talking about it, because not everyone is able to talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that pain sits in their body, and that again becomes a blockage to another pregnancy. Because you spoke about blood work in the beginning. I do ask my clients for blood work, but I am not too much of a blood work person, because we have made pregnancy a medical situation. I
Mm-hmm.
might get cancelled for it, but that's
No,
my
you won't.
purpose.
Not over
Uh,
here.
but it is a spiritual experience. It is not a medical experience. Our grandmothers never needed so much of blood work. Just 50 years ago, they were popping children left, right, and center. So we need to become the detective and ask why and how.
Yeah, it's
What
so true.
actually happened in these past 50 years? In these past 50 years, women were pressurized to do more work. So women are now balancing their career. They have to make money. There is so much of toxins in our environment. I come from India, and in India it's difficult to breathe also, but here in Ireland everything is so pure and neat, yet there are toxins in the environment. It is there in your dishwasher, in your cleaners, in your perfumes. Your perfumes are loaded with hormone disruptors. In IVF clinics, the people who are working are not allowed to use perfumes.
I didn't know that.
Nobody's going to tell you that. And when you
That's
go,
so interesting.
yeah, and when you go to a doctor after your miscarriage or this unexplained infertility, the doctor is not going to ask you that what food are you eating, how stressed are you. They are just asking you to take blood on blood, and
Mhm.
you are
Like paying
cycle,
tests.
and yeah, you are a money making machine. And it's not towards a particular doctor or anything, but it is a whole system that has
System.
developed in the past 50 years. So it is high time that we stand in our sovereignty and ask ourselves that, do I want to take this power? And because the thing is that when you take the power of your own healing, physical, mental, and spiritual, you are empowered on the path of motherhood, because firstly you have learned how to heal yourself, so you are going to heal your child. You are
Hmm.
going to ensure that you are the doctor for everything. See, doctors and hospitals are a blessing in a case of emergency.
Hmm.
It's not an emergency. And that word brought me to another word, which is emergency C-section. But there is
Yeah.
a stats that almost 80 or 70% of C-sections are not even required, and they happen because there's
Yeah.
so much to the process of
Yeah.
birth.
It's just like more of like just like a convenience, or like let's just
Yeah,
get this
yeah,
out now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So birthing and labor is like a Jenga. You piece everything slowly, bit by bit, but you take one thing off and everything falls apart. So that's what is
Hmm.
happening. So hence, for me, imparting this education or learning about birth, labor, postpartum, and herbs that help during pregnancy, all of this is so beautiful. And yeah, in one of my medicine experiences, I went back to my mother's womb and I experienced all the pain that she experienced when I was in her womb. And I know that you will understand this. For a lot of people, this is like, oh, what is she talking about? But that's when I understood, okay, that I have to do the womb work.
Wow.
And this is the new revolution, that you need to take your power back. Yeah.
I just got chills when you said that. Wow, that's beautiful. That connection to going back to like to your own mother's womb. There's so much just racing in my head, and like I want to ask you so much. And kind of like again to add to like, I was mentioning about like on my own conception, and like this time around there's less pressure. I definitely believe like in the divine timing. And it was funny, I actually, so it was part of my angelic energy healing. I do different levels, and each level we work with a different angelic being or a goddess. And Saint Bridget was on the level that I was working with. And as we know, Saint Bridget is a patron saint of Ireland, and she works very well with the divine feminine and the sacral and the feminine energy, and she's an incredible mothering energy. And so I was getting attuned to her, and I was working with her, and feeling her energies. And within the meditation, my teacher who does the levels mentioned, oh, she's bringing in a blessing for all of the babies that are in the wombs waiting to be born. And I was like, I wonder who that's about. And so I went and did a test that day and found out I was pregnant. And I was like, oh my God, maybe I had to wait, and build this connection. Maybe Bridget wanted to work with me, whatever it might be. And so yeah, I suppose I find comfort in that, and I know my people are over here anyways in this podcast, so we'll all find a little bit of comfort in our beliefs and our spirituality. But yeah, I listening to you talk about like pregnancy and birth, and I'm really like, this is something that I'm really like exploring, because like you said, it's not a medical issue. it's literally a natural, like incredible part of life. And so I wonder, like, why do you think it became such like a medical thing? Like, 'cause in my head, I'm like, why would they take it? Because our ancestors knew what they were doing. And even if I think about my own grandmother who had 9 children and 7 of them like survived and grew up, and unfortunately she lost two, but she had majority of her children at home, in her home, with her neighbor helping her like deliver her babies, and that was just like, that was just the way it was. And they had so much, like, yeah, they were like, yeah, of course, like, the neighbor up the road came up and helped her, and I was like, and then it just like seemed to change and became, like you said, this medical thing. And I'm wondering, like, why do you think that is?
It's not just pregnancy. I think it is with everything in this world, right? Like when did our food started becoming poison? When did we start wearing plastic in our clothes? Everything that we wear is polyester. We have stopped wearing pure organic Irish wool, or the cottons from India, or the linen.
Mm-hmm.
When did all of this start? I think it was all post World War II. So the industrialization and fast economics of everything. I also learned something very, very interesting about breastfeeding in Ireland, and I was pregnant and I had this midwife. She's the head of Wexford Midwife, and she's this beautiful woman who's almost roughly 55, 60 years. She's like a headmistress, like a principal of a school, and she was very, very kind. So she was asking something about breastfeeding, and I told her that, yeah, I am all ready for breastfeeding, blah, blah, blah. And I asked her that how common it is to breastfeed here. So she said that it is picking up again, but there was a phase where women didn't breastfeed. And I was like, I asked why, because all of those powders, I don't know what they're called,
Formula.
the formula
Mm-hmm.
the formula
Mm-hmm.
company started marketing and branding in a way that the rich feed their
Yes.
babies formula, and
Yes.
if you're poor you are going to give your baby breast milk. But there's no competition of breast milk. I mean, it's I don't even want
Yeah.
to discuss all of that because it's stupid for me. But because these companies started doing that, that started playing with the psyche of women here in Ireland, and everyone wants to give best to the children. So they thought that the formula is
Oh,
best.
yeah. They actually marketed it as being better.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Um, yeah, and they're not allowed to do that anymore. But I recall that it was like seen as like a peasant's thing to
Yeah,
breastfeed because
yeah,
you couldn't afford
yeah,
formula,
yeah.
and that's how they pitched it. And now they've had to reel a lot back in with the kind of advertising of formula. But now they say, like, at the end, like, formula is not a substitute for breast milk, because it's not. Like you say, and I'm speaking from a mother who still breastfeeds, who's still breastfeeding her almost 3-year-olds. Um, and that's been an incredible part of our journey. I have loved every second of it. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'm like, when is this going to end? Because I need this to end. But then I know there's a part of me that's like, it's beautiful, you know? Um,
Easy. Who's going to talk about that? I mean, for
yeah,
sure, there are tough nights. I breastfed my daughter for roughly 2 years, and I was like you. I was like, okay, I think I'm done now.
yeah, yeah.
Because I wanted a bit more of freedom so that, I can do certain things. And my body was also showing me signs that it is time. But at the
Mm-hmm,
same time, it strengthens the connection with the baby so much that is
mm-hmm.
so easy that you just pop your boob while you're sleeping and you
Literally,
sleep rather than
I'm looking at, like,
yeah,
yeah, like I didn't have to get up in the middle of the night
yeah,
and make a bottle. I didn't have to sterilize
yeah.
bottles. I wasn't. So in that sense, I could just go out the door with some nappies and some wipes and go about my day. I didn't have to plan, his formulas or anything. And I understand every woman has a different journey. And I think a massive part of the piece or the puzzle is not so much. I don't think it's women not wanting to. I think it's lack of information. and lack of support. Because you need so much support to breastfeeding. You do, because at the start it can be painful, and there's so much information that we don't know, even about latch and when your milk comes in. I thought my milk would be there straight away, and all of that. So I think there's a massive part that's like lack of information for women, especially younger women as well.
Yeah, actually, there is overload of information, in my opinion, and information
Mhm.
which is fear mongering that this is not for you, oh, it's so difficult. I rarely come across positive birth stories. I rarely come across people who are telling that, okay, breastfeeding was a bliss, because as you said, it made life easier. For sure, in the beginning, it's difficult. And for
Mhm.
sure, motherhood isn't walking on grass, it is sometimes getting those thorns stuck in your feet. Um,
Mhm.
but you chose that for yourself and that is happening. But
Yeah.
this whole early age passes also so quickly that, yeah, when you are in it, for sure you will feel the
Yeah.
tiredness, feel the stormy bit of it. But I am free now. My daughter is 2 years 4 months old. She sleeps with
Yeah.
her father, and she says, okay, Baba will put me to sleep, and I'll be like, I'm free
Oh,
now.
I can that so much, because it was the same with us. Like, of
Mhm.
course, my son wanted mommy because he wanted milk, um, every single night, and we actually got to a stage similarly when he was 2. He would go to sleep for daddy, and now he knows it's just for bedtime. It's just a bit of a comfort, and sometimes he'll say to me, if he's not feeling well, if he's tired, he'll be like, "Want to go and have a nap and have some milk?" I'm like, "Okay." Um, like you said, it's that connection, and it was beautiful. And like you mentioned about being in the storm, like, of course it's difficult, but having other women, I think, is so empowering and so important, because I went to a group every week that was like an organization of breastfeeding counselors, and I remember them saying that to me. They said he's only going to be this small for a really, really small amount of time. It goes so quick. And I remember looking at them being like, oh my God, like, you're crazy. Like, it feels like this time as days are going so slow. But now I look back and I'm like, oh my God, it went so quick. Like, it really does. Yeah. Um, I'm curious to hear, how was your birthing story with your daughter?
It was the most powerful thing I have ever done in my life. I don't know how I did it. So just to give you context before jumping onto my birthing story, we came to Ireland 5 years ago, and I always knew that when I get pregnant, I will go to India. That was my plan always, because I wanted someone to massage my body every day, bring food. I am pampered. Life in India is very, very different.
Wow.
So
I
I
want to go
always
to India.
so I always envisioned that, and I always wanted to go to a hospital like those five-star rooms in India. You can have anything. So I always told my husband that, okay, so maybe when we are 6 months pregnant or 5 months pregnant, we will shut shop here and we will go home, give birth there, and come back. Lo
Oh,
and behold, universe always has another plan which is bigger and mightier than your little tiny egoic, oh, did I say it right? Egoic mind. I became pregnant, and as I told you, I was any which ways on my spiritual acceleration, and something told me, 1 second, why do you want to go to the hospital? I started actually going for my appointments in the Dublin hospital, and I just felt a lack of connection. Just the name was called in. You will see the doctor for 2 minutes, and I think they have the same script. They don't know who am I, or how am I feeling, or whatever. So in the beginning, I started feeling that disconnect, and then something in me told me that just give birth at home, because when you have sex in privacy, you need to give birth in privacy.
wow.
Because when you feel safe, it is easier for your body to pop out your child.
Yes.
it can, so when I and then I started reading all of these articles and stats, because my husband is a numbers guy, and he, for me to explain to him that I want to give birth at home, I had to show him stats. And then when I
Hmm.
started looking at the stats, I was like flabbergasted. I was like, okay, then why aren't we doing this more? Because any stats you look of Ireland and UK, you will find out that there are more C-sections happening in a hospital, and the rates of induction, the C-section, and other things, complications that comes with it. And that opened my mind, and I was like, okay, when my grandmother could give birth at home, then why can't I? And I was already meditating, breathing. By the way, yeah, just to cut it short, I gave birth at home without any drugs or anything, just by the power of breathing, visualization. I had taken my pregnancy as like preparing for a marathon, because labor and childbirth is a marathon, and you should
Hmm.
prepare for it. You should learn about your phases of labor and what happens to your body, because education is really, really important. I don't know why we are not educated for
Hmm.
it more. Again, because the more we are educated, the power lies in our hands. So, yeah,
Hmm.
I trained throughout my pregnancy. I used to work all around my house, doing all the chores, cooking, cleaning. And we moved into a new house when I was 3 or 4 months pregnant. So we were setting up the place. I was constantly working, physical work. Um, and yeah, I ensured that I was doing all my Ayurvedic herbs, breathing, visualizations, all the hypnobirthing tools and techniques. And after 8 hours of beautiful divine labor, when I had candles all around me, incense
Oh, it
and
sounds beautiful.
music, yeah, oh my God, maybe I want to give birth again, because it was the most
Oh.
psychedelic experience you will ever have. Like the heavens came down, and my daughter was actually born with the entire amniotic sac. It is a very, very rare form of birth. It's called an enthal
Hmm.
birth. And later
Yeah.
I remembered that when I was pregnant, I saw it somewhere, and I was like, wow, that is magical. And
Oh my
my
God.
waters never broke, and she came out with the whole bag. So she was all very shiny and neat and
See her.
clean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my
Um,
God.
I did not get any stitches, because I was doing perineal massage throughout my last 4 months of pregnancy. So when my midwife looked at me, I was like, "You know me, right? I will heal this." And she was like, "Okay, sure, I will let you go, because I have full trust and support. Know that you will be able to." Um. So yeah, I don't ask me how I did it. It
Oh
was
my
just
God.
divine power, Shibon. It
Yeah.
was not
Yeah.
me. Um,
Oh, it sounds beautiful. And even listening to you, I really feel like I want to have a home birth. I think it would be so beautiful, like for me and my partner to do that, and like for us to bring our baby into the world, and like you said, like and I know that like cortisol, this the stress hormone, like stops. I think it's prolactin, is it? Which like actually, and oxytocin, which helps the baby to come, and so things like being in a hospital, and I remember even the stress I felt with my son, like waiting and waiting and waiting, and being at home just sounds like, oh my God, getting into my own bed, like with my baby, and oh, it just sounds beautiful. It really does. So I can imagine what an incredible experience that was for you both, to go through. Um, and I was wondering actually earlier as you were speaking, about kind of the type of clients and the people that come to you. Um, and I'd imagine, like, I know for myself, I definitely went through a moment of like, after I had my miscarriage, I was wondering, like, will I ever carry like a healthy baby again? Is this going to happen for me? And I did feel shame, a sense of shame and guilt. And I wonder, is that something that you would see with mothers who maybe are having a hard time to conceive?
yes, there is so much of pressure, right? Because everyone around them is getting pregnant. And obviously, now we have mothers who are getting pregnant at a later age. So there's this pressure of their ticking biological clock, their
Mm-hmm.
careers and jobs. And not just that, they have this doubt or fear whether they are ready to become mothers or not as well, because it comes with so much of responsibility. Will my body be the same? Will my life be the same? And so much more. But yeah, that's the beauty of conscious conception, that we go dig deep down all of these issues that stay within here, because our
Mm-hmm.
mind is blocking our conception so much that we don't even know. And this is the mind that actually will open the doors to home birth or doors to conscious conception and so much more. So we never think of our mind when we think of pregnancy or conception, right? We just think of the womb space or the heart space. But this is playing so much of a bigger role and game, because it is all about your hormones, all about your mentality, all about what you believe in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have met so many women who have gone through 4 or 5 rounds of IVF, right? So even if they are not sharing, but they have so much of doubt in the capacity and capability of their body. In the past 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
I have roughly spoken to 80 plus women who have been on this path. I have not worked with all 80 of them, but I just curious to understand what does the journey look like for different women. And they are in the cycle of IVF for 4 5 years. It has caused them so much of financial stress. Obviously, it is causing so much of stress on the relationship. Um, and this whole stress will not allow them to get pregnant.
Yes.
That's the basic of it. So just
Mm-hmm.
reaffirming in yourself that there's nothing wrong with your body. Your body was designed by God to give birth. It's just that there is high imbalance of elements in the body, that we just
Mm-hmm.
need to bring our heart, mind, and spirit all in one alignment to just get pregnant naturally. Yeah.
And have you ever worked with women who have been told, perhaps like medically, that they cannot have children?
Till now, no. But I have met a lot of women who are told this very, very commonly, right? That you have one round of failed IVF, then there are questions raised, you know. There's a lot of pressure on the women. Um, there's so many tests first done on the woman rather than the man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there are these opinions, I call them, are just thrown left, right, center at women and putting more fear in their mind. But
Mm-hmm.
I have met women who have got pregnant when they were 47 or 48, because, yeah.
God.
So it's beautiful. And the ones who have this innate confidence in the intelligence of their body are the ones who are able to do that. But yeah, I have seen women who have slowly let go of the fear and developed this confidence and, connected back to their body, listened to their womb, and are able to get pregnant for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are just new terms which are thrown here and there. Like, for example, people say, oh, I have low AMH, but there are things to fix it. They get
Mm-hmm.
just stuck on that number that, oh, I have this, maybe I will not be able to get pregnant. And it's not just about them. To be very honest, I had PCOD, and I had my left ovaries were enlarged. And I was told so many times that, okay, you try for a month or two, and if it doesn't happen, you come to us, we will fix it, you know, or things like, don't worry about it. Any which ways, at this point, you can adopt as well. So one night, I actually came to my partner and I was like, what if I'm unable to get pregnant? And he was like, he could see that I was under so much of stress about all of these issues that I was having. And for years, I was trying to regain my health, and things weren't working out for me until I learned that this whole being is one system and you need to treat all of it in alignment. Um, so he said the same thing to me, that don't worry, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. You and me are just perfectly fine. Maybe we don't need a child. That's why it's not happening. Right.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I was in an exhibition earlier this year here in Dublin, and I met so many women who are just fed so many times that they are unable to get pregnant, that they start believing in it. And because they are believing in it, their body just gives evidence by not allowing it to get
Yes.
pregnant. Because, you know, it's all manifestation.
For sure, it is. And it's so interesting to hear you say that because, as a coach, I would work a lot with the mindset and the thoughts that we have. And our thoughts create our reality and create our feelings, which create our actions, which create more thoughts. And it's so interesting. And especially, I can imagine, women who've gone through loss, like you mentioned, 4 or 5 years of IVF, like of course there's going to be fear and so many different things going on for them, in their mind. But it's really beautiful to hear like your experience with other women around you, that connection with looking at everything as one system. Like we can release those thoughts, and we can release that programming, and we can release that fear and connect back into the power of our womb. And I know we talked about, that the programming and everything that women receive about conception, and you know doctors, and again, it's just the way the world has gone now, I think, unfortunately. And we're so disconnected from our spirituality and our own inner wisdom and our ancestors and everything. But I wonder, like, what is one thing that you wish women knew about their wombs or their womb space?
That all your thoughts, feelings are being passed down to your baby. What does that mean? It means that even before pregnancy, when you and your partner you come together for conception, whatever frequency you are vibrating at will be the frequency of the child. The fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. So if you are living a stress life where you are doubtful about, oh, what will happen to my career, oh, will I be able to financially support my baby, or will I be a good mother or not, so all of this is there in your womb space, so it is going to transfer your baby, and it is going to shape the reality of the child. For example, if you eat unhealthy during pregnancy, and for sure there are cravings. I used to eat tubs of ice cream during pregnancy. So there's no judgment about anyone, by the way.
Mhm.
Everyone has their own unique path. But just this awareness that when the baby is in the womb has water, so the baby is, in your amniotic fluid. Okay. So there are stronger electrical thought patterns or electrical currents that are going to your baby. So the baby knows when you are happy. Obviously the baby knows everything that you are thinking of. So think more of love, think more of courage, or embody the values and feelings that you would want to impart to the child. And that is such a important gift than choosing the color of the nursery, or choosing the clothes for the baby, or choosing the pram that you
Mhm.
want to have, because those are things that wouldn't value or matter on any which ways after few months or so. And any which ways, sometimes I ask myself, am I shopping for my daughter or am I shopping for myself?
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, but just the understanding that you have such a huge role to play, just in terms of who you are and how you're shaping the future of your child. Yeah.
Hmm. It's interesting to hear you say that because, like, I definitely think, looking back on my pregnancy with my son, I had a really good mindset. Like I did a hypnobirthing course, and I was, sending love to my baby and speaking to my baby, and my partner was speaking to him. And of course I had my days, I had moments where I would be crying, and there would be moments where I was just I had that pregnancy rage, I had all of these hormones. So there was definitely moments of that. But I think, like what you mentioned, it sounds like intention, like bring it back to the intention of being pregnant, and what it is, the energy that you want to share with your baby, I think is so powerful. And so of course, with this pregnancy, I think with my pregnancy, with my miscarriage, looking back, I think there was stress, there was pressure with trying to conceive, and worries about my career. And so, I look back and I think just divine timing, and I think a massive part is I don't think I even slowed down even when I found out I was pregnant. I just like kept going. Whereas this time my body is forcing me to slow down, and I'm intentionally like, okay, I need to rest because I need to tell this baby, I accept you, there's space for you, we welcome you, we're so grateful for you, and all of these things. So it just goes to show, I think, like everything that we've been talking about, like pregnancy and birth is spiritual. Like it's not, oh, you're growing a baby. Like it is so, so, so much deeper than that. It really is. And yeah, it's just,
Just to add to
sorry,
it,
again. I was gonna say-
I now hold space for women. Like I do one-on-one breathing sessions and working on traumas and everything. I have clients who are 55 or 60 years old who still talk about their childhood. And it is mind boggling how our childhood impacts our current reality and the person that we are. And the
Mhm.
womb space, or that 9 months in the womb, are much, much, much more powerful than a human can ever imagine, because the baby is bathing in your frequency, right?
Yes.
So as you said that obviously we have our highs and lows, but is there one practice, or just 20 minutes that you can keep this relaxed and create space, as you said, not just creating space for a nursery, but creating space here, and trusting that everything will work out. So, yeah,
Mhm.
uh, the birth of the child, the time of pregnancy, the time of conception. So it's like you need to know that you have to give 1 year to it. So it's
Yeah.
zero trimester, which is the 3 months before you conceive. You prepare, you educate, and you deep dive into it. And obviously, the three trimesters, and then the fourth trimester, which is three
Hmm.
months after having your child, because you, as a mother, you are reborn. You
Hmm.
yourself become a child. So you
Hmm.
yourself need so much of care. You don't need to rush
Hmm.
going out in the world, because when you
Hmm.
go out in the world, you will go out as this courageous, powerful being who's stepping into the world. If you are rooted in just certain practices that this Vedic ancient wisdom and now modern science talks about, which is understanding how a mother impacts the child, and obviously the father as well. We can't put all the pressure on the woman. The sperm also plays so much of role, because a lot of miscarriages are linked to sperm health quality, and there's not enough research about it, because obviously let's put everything on the woman. But
Yes. Yes.
yeah, it's two who takes to tango, so it's mother and father both who need to be energetically, spiritually, emotionally, and physically present for baby. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And even you mentioned that like the fourth trimester, I like that was something that I never even knew of, even when I had my son. I learned about it when he was a little bit older. Um, and it's so true. And I remember someone saying to me in my breastfeeding group was they're like, it takes a village to raise a baby, but it takes a village to raise a mother as well, because you're like a baby, like you said, you're just everything is new. You're becoming a mother, and how you see the world changes. You now have someone who comes first, and someone who you'll always consider and prioritize and love like you've never felt love, and who just feels like you've known them your entire life yet feels so new to you. And so it's this beautiful beautiful journey. And um it just really reminded me when you said like we're like a baby ourselves when we go through that. And it's like we go through the depths of it, but it's beautiful, and it's one of the most incredible things I've ever witnessed. And I know you can probably agree with me on that. But I was listening there, and I was thinking about perhaps women who aren't like trying to conceive yet but want to conceive in the future. And is there anything that you would like recommend to these women to start practicing or preparing their womb now for when they do want to conceive in the future?
Sure. So we don't use the word trying, because the moment we say trying, your mind thinks, okay, I can try and I can fail. So we
Okay.
say we are opening for conception, because
We're opening
words
for
play
conception.
such an important role. Because for labor also, we don't call them pain or whatever, we call them surges or waves.
Surges. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I always tell my clients that you're opening for pregnancy, you're not trying for pregnancy, because your
I like
body,
that because it changes
for sure,
your
for
your
sure.
mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why this is coming up, but if you are on a pill, please, for God's sake, stop having that pill. Because maybe I need to make more content about this, because the pill is disrupting your hormones like anything, and won't make your life easy. So obviously, getting off the pill is the first thing that I would do. Luckily, I was never on the pill. Secondly, understanding your womb space, understanding your sensuality, your sexuality, your womb space, your cyclical rhythm of your bleed, understanding
Mhm.
that your bleed, or the word period, is not a pain for you. And if you have painful periods, there's something wrong in your lifestyle, because periods were never meant to be painful, they were meant to be just a pause, because your body is
Mhm.
shedding what it was supposed to receive or create, but it is shedding that line. And
Mhm.
so understanding that, honoring your sacred body, and
Mhm.
never getting into this pressure of pregnancy, that oh, my friends are getting pregnant, oh, blah blah, I will achieve this in my career and then I will get pregnant. Just leave it to the divine timing, and understand that
Mhm.
you will start getting nudges that you are ready for it, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Your spirit baby will be nudging you.
Yeah, yeah, you get the call. You get the call that you are ready, or you want to start walking on the path, but just the understanding of your womb. Because just maybe take a biology class on YouTube, understand what your uterus looks like, where are your ovaries, how
Mhm.
measure them, what happens, how you can live in honor to every phase of the cycle, according to understand when you are ovulating, because you can see signs after learning about all of this. Now I don't need to see whether I'm ovulating or not. I just feel it that I am ovulating, because I will
Yeah.
full of drive, so much of energy.
Yeah.
I know that I want to have sex. I know my
Mhm.
body is telling me. And I also, my husband knows that okay, she's going to have her periods very very soon, because my tells the same. And educating your partner is also very very important.
Yeah.
So just having the knowledge with yourself is not the best thing. Maybe call it a date night, play relaxing music, and just play that educational class. Poor men, they suffer so much as well,
Mhm.
because of our mood swings and things that we are feeling and
Mhm.
not feeling. Uh,
Yes.
Men are like sun, they rise every day and they go down every
Yes. Nice
night.
set.
But we are like moon, we have our shapes, forms, various
Yes,
levels
that's
to
so
us.
true. Our phases.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's so true. Yeah, and I think like you mentioned partner, like that's part of the piece as well, is like knowing when you've met that person who you're ready to create with, and someone who's going to support you and honor you through that. And I know from listening to you, your husband sounds like he's been incredibly supportive, and I'm very grateful that I have a partner who wants to learn, like wanted to learn about hypnobirthing, wanted to learn about birth and pregnancy and what was happening to my body and what was happening to the baby. And that's so important as well. To have someone who really is invested with you, and will respect your phases of the moon and the shapes that you take throughout it as well. Um, and so I suppose there's been so much that we talked about here today, Oshika, but is there anything that we haven't spoke about that you would really love to share with people today, or it could be a message or something?
just want to close that point that you were talking, that having a baby obviously is beautiful and divine, but it's not an easy path. So be mindful about who you are having your child with. You are a
Mm-hmm.
goddess and you will marry, or you will be in communion or partnership with a god. So you need to serve each other in the most beautiful form. So respect, honor, those are the values that will go to the child as well. So just tune into that. There's no rush, and the divine is always supporting and guiding you. So that. Secondly, if you're thinking of pregnancy, education is so important, and understanding that you will just come out as a stronger person out of it. And
Mm-hmm.
we are all these divine beings, and we are born with this fertility juice in our body. So it's our birthright to get pregnant naturally, to give birth at home, to be supported by our families. And I am talking as a person who doesn't have my family here. Uh, and in that case, the more you lean on to your community, your partner, and your friends, the better the support will be. Wherever you are on this journey, just remember that your body is a highly intelligent machine and a sacred temple at the same time. If you know how to balance your body, it will get pregnant naturally. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so many people listening to this will be feeling such a strong message of not only encouragement and inspiration, but hope and faith, and hopefully connection to their own divine, and knowing that that is within them. Um, Before I end today's episode, I love to ask my guests kind of the same question, which is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given? It could be a quote, it could be a poem, something that you gained throughout your life that you'd like to share with everyone. And it doesn't have to be connected to your niche, but maybe it is.
I don't know where I read this or where it came into my psyche, or but the only person who knows you the best is you. Nobody has ever lived with you as you have lived with yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
tune into what is within and shut this egoic mind, because a lot of times this ego mind comes in the way that, oh, I am this, I am that. You are just a vessel. You are here to carry divine's work. And the more awareness of our past, our darkness, our shadows, our mistakes, the more light, the more love, the more expansion will come into your being and your reality. So, yeah, just honor yourself, honor who you are, and the divine will always support you. You are always loved, supported, and guided. Just tune in, and you will find the entire universe exploding in your heart. Yeah.
You will.
Yeah.
Oshika, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your nurturing energy, and the beautiful advice and information that you have for everyone, and anyone that works with you and has worked with you, and your future clients are incredibly lucky. I can already tell. So thank you so much for coming on to Cosmic Conversations.
You, Shubham, it was just a pleasure, and the spirit of your baby who is around us and blessing us. It's just a blessing from Ma. When I say Ma, I mean the divine goddess. Right now, it is the time of Navratri, which is 9 nights of the Devi or the divine goddess. And yeah, the Devi is sending blessings to you and to your
Oh,
baby. Mm.
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning into Cosmic Conversations. If you enjoyed this episode, then please let me know. Maybe consider leaving a 5-star review or a comment on what you thought. I'd love to hear suggestions and feedback on any topics you'd like me to explore or unpack, or maybe a guest that you'd like me to have on so I can pick their brain. If you have a cosmic confession or a dilemma that you'd like me to explore next week, then please send it my way on Instagram at cosmicconversationspod or email thecosmiccoach.ie@gmail.com. Thank you and see you next week.